Hey everybody, it's Commander Clyde, and we're back. And today we're doing some patch notes analysis. 5.4 PC update happened yesterday, and apparently it's Smite's, I guess at this point, fourth birthday of its official release. So that's why they're calling it Smite Birthday. You can see, obviously, there's going to be a knee skin. You'll see that down here in just a minute. Achilles skin, more Chuck designs, skulls, skulls, skulls. Usual. Got another DJ skin, base cannon Neath. As if we didn't have enough Neath skins already. But there you go. Another one for you Neath mains out there. Great. Doesn't bother me that much, but Neath's got a lot of skins already. Does she really need more? I don't know. And then the chibi skin everybody wanted, the Thoth. There he is with his big eyes and his beak. Cardinal skin going with the computer code theme thing. I have no idea what god this skin is for. They didn't say. I'm sure I'll know at some point. I mean, why did they do that? They put the name here and then it's like, nope, it's my birthday event. Whatever, you get cool stuff. The birthday bundle, it's 900 gems, normally 25% off day one when the patch is live next week. Yay, that's fun. Some achievements for Achilles, one for the getting all the Ratatosker skins, right? Emotes, loading frames, music, fountains, effects, blah blah blah. The stuff I'm really not interested in, but here it is for all of you if you want to see that. Great. All right, moving on. Blink, believe it or not, Blink is the most strongly performing relic in the game. Disagree. Okay. Having access to instant mobility is extremely powerful, and many gods could use this as a way to initiate or escape. We are slightly, I can't read, increasing the cooldown of this relic to help bring it in line with the other relics. I don't see where it was strongly performing, or the most strongly performing relic when Jail's in the game, Horrific Emblem's in the game. I don't see it. I just don't. I feel like that's a pointless nerf. Maybe not. I mean, the gods that used it well, obviously it's a broken item, unlike Kali and stuff. There's gods where it's useful for mobility in certain situations where this doesn't help very much. Example being a guardian for initiation. Now it's only 10 seconds shorter cooldown than beads, which if you want to initiate off your blink again, that's a little awkward on the timing. Okay, so initially Chalice of the Oracle was buffed. People have been using it a lot on junglers, and they didn't like the map safety and things to be so easy, so we get 100 gold nerf to that. So the price has been increased from 300 to 400. I like that. I think it's good considering how impactful it was at higher levels of play. Makes you think a little more about your consumables, and I like that. Thebes now gains 5 stacks for a God Killer assist. It really should have had that to begin with, because I think most other items where that's a thing give you 5 stacks for God Kills or Goddesses. Emerald Talisman increased price from 1200 to 1400 gold. That's a big swing. Decrease passive from 0.25% HP 5 HP per second to 0.2. Stone of Gaia, top end also increased price from 2100 to 2250. Decrease passive from 0.4 to 0.3% of your HP per second. This is a very necessary nerf. This was pretty much the go-to first item on a lot of gods in solo lane, and it is such an incredibly high amount of sustain, makes you so hard to kill. Now it's going to take you a little bit longer to get that online, and you won't have as much sustain from it either. I like the bigger price increase on the tier 2, because it way slows down the early game of you being able to get that online quickly to get high early sustain, and is a little bit unfair in that respect, so this is much better. Okay, Heartseeker, decreased bonus, passive bonus damage trigger from 100% of your physical power to 80% of your physical power. And what we were seeing, of course, I mean, this item gives you a unique combination of power, movement, and pen. The very strong early stats. It's only 1100 gold, keep that in mind. And as a lot of you may know, we were seeing assassins perform really well in Conquest. And part of that is due to this item doing 100% of your physical power. With the Transcendence buff, you're building that more often on your assassins, which means you're more likely to build Heartseeker, and it'll do 100% of that power as additional damage. And when you're a regular jungler with maybe one defensive item, your power is going to be at least 200, probably closer to 220 or something like that, and that's a significant amount of damage from Heartseeker. So this just scales that down a little bit so you don't have that huge sudden burst of damage. I like that. Rada Tahuti fixed an issue where the bonus scaling would not apply to passive abilities. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Do more, increase magical power from 60 to 70. They want people to build it more often. And it is a good early bridge item. It's good on low mobility mages because it gives movement speed from the stacks. Always a good thing. It's very potent on gods like Poseidon because he already gets passive movement, which means this is even stronger on him. Makes it a more attractive choice. Is it going to be better than Thoth or Warlocks as a stacking item? No. You're probably going to be selling it late for like a Soul Reaver or more pen or something like that, because that's just better when you get to the late game. The 70 power is really the only good thing about it in the late, so you'd want to sell it for a more desirable item. Speaking of Soul Reaver, decreased cost from 2750 to 2650, increased magical power from 120 to 130. I'm not sure why. I guess we keep on saying without Rod of Tahuti, doing something without Rod of Tahuti every time. People are blind, in my opinion. Rod is not a bad item now because it doesn't give you the constant bonus power. You get 50% extra damage. I think it's 50. Again, no, it's not. I'm getting it confused with the targets under 50% health. Well, you get the bonus on 50% health, but Rod of Tahuti has 15 more power than it used to. Blah, 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 do math. If you have high scaling, why would you not just build it anyway? Because it has a high amount of power. I don't know. But now Soul Reaver is here to give you even more power and less cost, which means you're going to build it more often now, which is fine. Mages aren't already really strong in terms of itemization right now. This is almost a buff to like Guardians because you could build this on Solo Lane Guardian and it would be nuts. So I think this is an unnecessary buff. Should have been looking at other things like Bancrofts and Typhons, etc. But anyway, I guess my arguments for Rod to Tahuti mainly fall on deaf ears, but I still think the math is fine there. I think it does more damage to target when you get them under 50% health than old Rod did to target, because with items like Spear the Magus being more desirable and a lot of flat pen, it's not that hard to get a target under 50% health. So then they get blown up, and then Soul Reaver on top of that makes it even easier to bring their health down. Especially against tanky targets. Rod right now against tanky targets is a crazy item. Anyway, moving on. Enchanted Ring increased magical power from 30 to 45. Is pretty weak in power, honestly, for it, what it was building into in that tree. It makes you actually want the tier 2 a little more. Shaman's Ring increased cost by 100, but to go along with the increased magical power from 80 to 100, that's a big change. It's 20 power. So that's a 25% increase in the magical power. This is significant, as you may understand. Shaman's Ring allows you to do 10%, I think, bonus damage to targets after they've taken magical damage from you. You've given this 25% more power, so up to 100. Big. And what did we do? We buffed Soul Reaver. Means you're building it more. You're getting more damage from it off of this, and that also affects the damage the passive on Soul Reaver does, which means these two items are beastly together, and why would you not build them both now? Makes sense to me. Pretty crazy if you think about it. Poseidon is jumping for joy. It's a great item for him. It's a great item for Kronos. This is a great item for Freya. This is a great item for most mages that use mobility and the passive well. Have a way to easily apply damage and then follow up with more damage. Yeah, pretty good. Delkines decreased cost from 2800 to 2700. Increased passive bonus damage on basic attacks from 10 plus 5% of your magical power to 10 plus 8% of your magical power. That's over 50% increase in the percentage of magical power. That's pretty big, but when you think about it late, maybe it's not such a big deal. But let's extrapolate this out to say, oh, what's good? 425 power. Or let's do 400. Give us a flat number. So 0.05 times was 20.08 times 32. See the difference? It's a big difference. Plus 10, that's 42 total bonus damage. Say you went for a crazy power build and you had like 525 or something. I say this because Freya and Kronos, who would use this item the best, tend to have less magical power on them just because the itemization tends to be different. It really depends on the build you go for, because if you get Warlocks though, like, or something, you're probably close to 600, if I'm honest. Should bring you up to 58 bonus damage with the new passive numbers. Which is, I mean, it's not massive. I mean, at the top end like that, it's better than Old Telkines was, which had just the 40 extra damage on basic attacks. Not as good if your uh, power is lower. That was one of the complaints I had about this is until you get to a certain amount of power, it's not even as good as old Telkines was, which old Telkines also cost 2,400 gold, by the way, too, I think. So the change to this was a significant nerf to the item overall, but I like where this brings I like where that puts the item now, though. God balance. There are Achilles nerfs. Wow. I can't believe this is happening. I never saw it coming. Anyway, yeah, Achilles sure stolen the spotlight since its launch. Blah blah blah. He does all these things and it's crazy. Wow, fun. Even though there's still warriors that can beat him, but man, Osiris is probably really good against him. But Osiris is Osiris, so don't read too much into that. So on a Shield of Achilles, they've decreased the damage from 100 to 340 to 80 to 300. That is a big damage decrease. And decrease the stun to a flat 1 second at all ranks. Previously it was 1.1 to 1.5 seconds. Combat dodge increased cooldown from 10 to 12 seconds, so you can't abuse that as much either. I think the Shield of Achilles nerf is good because this does an extremely high amount of damage, especially if you get it maxed. If you get a lead and get this ability maxed out, it's completely nuts. This god is broken in Joust right now, pretty much, and it's a good thing they're nerfing him before he's available in ranked, because that would get abused significantly. So I like that. I don't think the god's as broken as some people think, but you know, some people are very frustrated by him, so it's a good thing he's being nerfed. Quanking of the Eastern Seas, they removed some. Well, they removed the brief window where Ao Kuang is untargetable during his ability's casting time. So now he's vulnerable the whole time, which means you have the ability to kill him before his execute actually happens. Happy day. Anyway, I'm not going to read this, but we all know Apollo's been underperforming for a while now, since last season, and it's been kind of ugly to watch. So he used to be a really solid hunter pick, and now it's just not, he's just not where he used to be. People don't really want to play him right now. It's real ugly. So, so beautiful. Increased base damage from 70 to 290 to 80 to 320. Lower ranks not as good. At higher ranks, it's a decent damage increase. But at the max rank, it's only 30 damage. I do not think this is going to help him that much. He might move up past like one hunter or two, maybe, in pickability, but like this is not enough of a buff to justify picking him over even gods like Rom. And Rom is a pretty like middle of the road hunter pick. So Apollo's still under that, and that's not good. I think he's a more desirable choice right now than Neith, than like Neith, and possibly Jingwei. I don't know that Jingwei we've seen a little bit though. I think she's all right though. So I mean Apollo's just really low right now, and I don't think this is going to save him, especially since his early is still going to be a lot weaker compared to other hunters. Okay, anyway, Kronos has struggled as a magical carry, and I beg to differ because you can build warlocks on him really easily, and it's crazy. He also gets the power stack for how long the game lasts. So now he's getting more power faster, increased magical power per stack from 3 to 5. and increase basic attack power from 35 to 40. Now, I will say his basic attack power without Accelerate active is really terrible, and it doesn't do much. So I like how that helps him there. I don't think the Time Lord change here is necessary. This passive is weird and stupid. I really don't like it because it's based on how long the game lasts. Excuse me. And when Conquest games are lasting for 20 to 25 minutes right now, we'll just say 20 minutes because that's an even number between a competitive game and F6 at 10. Um, da 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 da. I forget what the time is on that. Is it every 2 minutes? No. Yes. 50 minutes, so 5 times. Okay, yeah, it's every 2 minutes he gets a power stack. So in 20 minutes, he gets 50 power. Now, big increase. Big increase. That's 20 power. Wowee. Wait, no, it's not. Yeah, it is 20 power. Excuse me, guys. That's right. Okay, so yeah. That's a big increase on that passive. I still don't like it because it's based on how long the game lasts. So I don't think it helps him that much. I think they need to do something different with him. I guess that works though because it's about time, but eh. I think this change is fine. It's not really a big deal. I don't think this affects his late game that much, not unless the game goes for a long time. If it's lasting, like I said, about an average of 20 minutes, eh, very nominal. Fafnir, because they over nerfed his stun, increased stun from 1 second to 1 to 1.4 seconds. Oh boy. That also makes it easier to secure ult because they're stunned for longer, which means they're in that same position and then slowed once the stun wears off. So it's like, yeah, that helps. But because of that, they've decreased the self-healing and decreased the self-healing scaling. Just they're trying to even him out there, a little bit. I like that better. Honestly, I'd like his stun to be better. I'd honestly like his stun to be better because stuns, especially in like Joust, huge, huge deal to have a good stun. So this is honestly less necessary. Um, I haven't been talking Duel that much. Let me redo this. Well, not redo this. Let me spend a second on the Duel analysis. So this stuff here, blah, that's going to be about the same in every game mode with the items. This is a big deal. This god was set up to be really good in Duel, probably potentially too good. So this is a good nerf, a good pre-ranked nerf to have before he goes into into ranked play. Kwong doesn't really matter that much in Duel, whatever, he doesn't get picked that much. This doesn't bring Apollo up in Duel enough to where he's going to be a desired pick when you have choices unavailable. Anhur and Hachiman tend to not get banned, so they're still gonna be your top alternatives when the other stuff is banned. There's not a situation I see where you want to pick Apollo over another hunter. In Duel, Chronos, I don't think this has a big duel impact. Duel games usually don't last very long, so this is not a big deal. This helps him a lot early, so I think that might make him a touch stronger, but I don't think it's going to be a huge change. Hi guys. Gotta greet my chat real quick for those of you on YouTube. Alright, Duel analysis for Fafnir. He's a Guardian. He's not getting picked much. That's just how Guardians are in the game mode. This is a big deal for securing his ult after the stun if you do, God forbid, pick him in duel, and that's significant. That was one of the big issues he had in the 1v1, is I believe the curse strength does not apply as slow on a single target if you hit him. I might be misremembering the passive, but whatever, but that's a big deal. This hurts him in duel a lot because sustain is a big part of duel, and him having less sustain makes it a little harder for him to keep pressure. Critical for Guardians in duel to be able to do that. This takes away from that. How unfortunate. But again, good change for other game modes though. Um, so Habwa, our prayers have been answered, children. It has happened for us. Habwa's getting a slight nerf. Yay! Anyway, 10% less scaling on Water Spout, 85 down to 75 from 85. And then Atlas of the Yellow River, the carpet, as it's colloquially known, increased cooldown from 10 to 12 seconds, which arguably this was the most broken ability he had, because it slows you and gives him movement speed. And the cooldown was so short at max CDR that he was casting it every 6 seconds and you couldn't do anything against it. And I'm glad they nerfed this stupid piece of crap god. Anyway, that's as worked up as we're probably going to be today. Moving on. Also in Dill, he's entirely broken, so I like this, obviously. Still, you still want to ban him, though. Don't be naive. Alright, this is a change I'm very happy for. Kumbhakarna has been underperforming so much, and I've always loved this god. There's so many things he does, and does them well, that you just, uh, to me, he's always been one of the best guardians, but he doesn't get played. Um, some of that's because I mean, he doesn't really have any sustain tools, and I mean, I don't know. You can think of him working. Um, who is he similar to? Never mind, it doesn't matter. Let's just stick with the fact he's a good guardian. Throwback decreased cooldown from 15 to 13 seconds. That is a big change, especially if you have max CDR. So much better because the cooldown on this was so long. And Groggy Strike is getting increased base damage from 70 to 270 to 90 to 290. Yay. So now he's going to be able to burst a little harder and a little more often. And I like that. Especially for duel, because the more you can burst someone, the more often you can do it, the better off you're going to be in the 1v1, which means he can box a little easier now and not get pushed out so easily when he doesn't have an ability to use. Because, well, this will be back up more often. So, hey, how about that? Anyway, talking about Kumbhakarna, this god is so crazy. He's got I mean, this does big damage. Like, this has a root. His mez has a slow and an attack speed slow, which is so overlooked. Such a potent ability to have because it can be used for setup and for peel and all these things to just annoy the crap out of your opponent. And his ult can take a target completely out of a fight and isolate them, and then you can kill them with your mage, with whatever big burst your mage has. Does so many things, and now people are going to want to pick him more. Alright, Nemesis nerfs. Very good. Perfect. Needed this. Best assassin in the game right now. Crazy. So, the self buff duration on Divine Judgment has been decreased from 8 to 5 seconds. So she's gonna not do all that damage for as long, which is nice. And the cooldown has been increased from 90 to 70 to 90 seconds at all ranks. It used to be 90 seconds at all ranks. She was underperforming. They gave it cooldown at each rank. They gave it more cooldown at each rank, and now they've put it back to 90. Goes to show you when we buff gods for bad reasons, they get overpowered later. Mm, this is good. Not going to spend much time on this. Pretty obvious what this does. Nuwa, I'm it's kind of odd to me to see a buff to her because I don't know for what reason she's being buffed. I guess they're seeing something in their pick numbers and they're like, ooh, this is too low, let's buff her. I don't know. And there was nobody, I mean, she wasn't really being looked at for anything. So I don't know where this is coming from, but it's here and it's good because she usually underperforms most other mages when she does get picked. So I like new buffs. Decrease mana cost on Mysterious Fog from 70 to 90 to 60 to 80 seconds. Decrease the time that Nuwa is revealed in the fog from 3 seconds to 1 second. Good. Ability is much more a little more effective now as a escape and stealth tool, all that. I don't know if the reveal time affects the clay soldiers when they're inside the fog or not. If it does, that's pretty good. Anyway, clay soldiers increase base movement of soldiers from 350 to 365. And they go a little bit faster, which means they synergize with Mysterious Fog more. You can get them to targets quicker. That means they can also get to the objectives quicker and start poking, etc., etc. That may not sound like much, but that is a pretty significant buff, really. Just that 15 movement. Shining Metal, decreased mana from 60 to 50. That is very low mana cost. I don't think that was necessary personally. Increased magical power scaling from 65 to 75%. See, if you're going to do both, I don't think you need both. I think you can just do the magical power scaling and then leave the mana how it is. Seems a little too low to me. Fire shards can pass through player-made deployables while lifting off. So you get your mirror wall, just go up in the fire shards. Thor stun, go up in fire shards. All the things, just use your fire shards. Spam that ultimate, get that top damage. Because you can hit 5 targets at once. Greatest skill shot ever. Anyway, that's an interesting thing. That doesn't really do anything, though. There aren't that many situations where that's useful. Yep, but these are good buffs all around. Puts her in line much better with the other mages. Keeping that in mind, Ra is also getting a little buff, increased movement speed from 355 to 360. Yay, 5 movement, and increased magical power scaling on Celestial Beam from 80 to 90%. This ability does already do a pretty high amount of damage. So I don't know that they needed this. I don't think his burst was really lacking too much or anything. So I don't think he needed the Celestial Beam buff. But alright, do what they want. Increased movement speed, which helps his lack of movement, which is one of the worst things about him. Uh, Not that significant of a number, but it helps a lot. Now that should put his movement at like 425 once you have boots, I think. Much better. And then one of the most annoying mage in the game, Thoth, is going to be nerfed. They're talking about his position with our current itemization. Currently, Pen is very desirable, which works incredibly well into his kit, meaning he has significant pen if if he has a couple of pen items. But in Conquest, though, you're gonna have boots, you're gonna have Magus, you're gonna have Divine Ruin probably. So 10 pin, 15 pin, 15 pin with protection stripping plus passive. There's a lot of targets you just do true damage to in that scenario, and that is broken, and people see that. So his passive Dead Reckoning is going to see its pen decreased per stack from 4 to 3, so the total will be 15. Decreased magical power scaling of bonus on both the ability and basic attack trigger from 10 to 5%. Adjusted description to better describe how this ability's bonus damage applies to basic attack projectiles. Yes, that's fine, but more significant is the Dead Reckoning change, in my opinion, because Pen is incredible on this god. You couple that with, say, oh, our brand new Soul Reaver here, or oh, how about our brand new, let me go up to Shaman's Ring. This has more power and bonus damage. I mean, that seems kind of like a silly item on Thoth because he can proc it one time. He can proc it with an auto attack through the glyph, and then all his stuff just gets more bonus damage, and that's crazy. So it's a good thing this nerf has happened at the same time those items up there are getting buffed, because he would be a pretty significant monster. And nobody wants that. That's not fun. That's not competitive. So let's forget that. So anyway, doing the numbers on the thing, on the itemization that you'd get with the pen. So 10 pin from boots, 15 pin from Divine Ruin. I think 15. 15 from this. 25, 40, 15, 50. Jesus Christ, that's still a lot of pin. That's 55 with uh, his passive, boots, Magus, and Divine Ruin, plus 50 protection stripped. You're effectively doing 105 pin to a target. Ew, that's just nasty. That's still really high, but this helps a little. I think Thoth is still pretty insane though. Anyway, that's gonna do it for the patch notes video, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed the discussion. Like and subscribe if you did. Comment down below if you have anything else to add to the analysis, or you have a question about what I think on it. And also, don't forget to check out the live stream, twitch.tv/Commander Clyde. And I'll see you guys later for some more Smite. Have a good one.